What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode. So, you want to ride one of these bad boys, huh? I feel you. More than 5 years ago, I was in your shoes. I wanted to ride because I came out to San Diego seeing this beautiful weather. Well, not all that beautiful today, we got clouds, but I would say 80% of the year we get fantastic weather and sunshine, and it's drop dead gorgeous. So when I came out here and I saw the sun and I saw other motorcyclists, specifically on Highway 101, which is already drop dead gorgeous, but seeing bikes like the one I'm riding right now, hearing how awesome they sound, I was like, I'm gonna buy a bike someday when I move out here. And so in 2017 I moved out here, and about 2 years later in 2019 I bought my first bike, which was a KTM RC 390, 373 cc's and about 38 horsepower. Oh baby, yeah, that was a sweet little bike, man. Took that to the track, had so much fun with it, did so many different courses, learned a lot about riding a motorcycle using that little bike. And I forgot exactly how many bikes I've owned throughout the years, but I would probably say it's been at least 9 or 10 bikes since the first bike I ever had, which was that RC 390. But the appeal of riding a motorcycle is really up there. You know, you get freedom, which is number one for most people. You know, you get on a bike and ride and ride and ride. You get the wind in your hair. I don't even know about that. Is that really a true statement? Considering you're wearing a helmet? I guess if you're a female or a male who's got really long hair, that could be true. But anyway, you get what I'm saying, right? It's just motorcycles is just a thrill, but on the other hand, they're also extremely, let me go ahead and say it one more time, extremely dangerous. But are they really? Or is it the other way around? It's the human beings that are actually the dangerous ones. It's kind of like a gun, you know? The whole gun slash the person who owns it debate. Who's more dangerous, the gun or the person who owns it? The gun by itself is just going to sit on your shelf and do nothing. But the person holding it is going to be the one responsible for pulling the trigger, right? So, yeah, we can debate this all day long. Are motorcycles dangerous, or is it the rider? I'll leave that debate up to you guys. You can leave a comment down below on what you think about that. That aside, motorcycles are an absolute thrill. And the type of person that deserves to ride a motorcycle is someone who's absolutely sane, number one, okay? Number two, someone who's got a ton of responsibilities under their belt. And if you got a family, even better. You know why? Because it allows you to be a more responsible rider. Now you see, if you got a lot to lose, then you're going to be a much better rider in the long run. But if you have nothing to lose and you're just, I'm not putting anyone down or by age or anything like that, but if you're like someone 19 years old and buying a liter bike or a 600 as your first ever bike, you basically are just starting life for the first time. You're still a child, in my opinion, and you don't really know the rules of the road yet. You really don't have self-control, because the ratio of how much testosterone you have versus self-control is not proportionate to someone older like myself. And so yeah, you're gonna take a lot more risks, and it's gonna be very, very difficult for you to convince anyone to let you ride a motorcycle. So if you got enough money, you can do whatever you want. There are no class licenses here in the United States. You just get your M1 license, and 17 years of age, walk into any dealership, buy any bike you want. No one's gonna challenge you. In other countries, I think they got the plan correct. They got it down real well. They have different classes of licenses depending on the cc's and the horsepower and the age limits and this and that, which is great. Keeps people out of trouble. If you look at the list of motor vloggers out there, who are the ones causing the most trouble? It's usually the motor vloggers here in the United States. You rarely see any motor vloggers in Europe or in other countries causing the kind of trouble that motor vloggers here do, which is pretty much be highway heroes and pull wheelies and stunts on the road. It's reckless behavior, which I really don't understand. Maybe if I was like 20 years old, it'd be a different story, you know what I mean? But Anyway, that aside, you want to ride a motorcycle and you're kind of having a hard time convincing your parents to allow you to ride. Totally get it. See how powerful this bike is? Overtook those cars in nanoseconds. Yeah, your parents get it, man. Your family members get it. These things are dangerous, and you know, a lot of people just buy these bikes and they just ride them willy-nilly without any sort of education. But the best way to convince anyone that you want to buy a bike, I'm talking about your family members, your loved ones, your wife, your girlfriend, your mother, your father, whoever this may be, is by showing them that you're, number one, a responsible person, and number two, that you are willing to put in the time and become educated. Did you know in March I turned 50 years old? Holy crap. Just saying that to myself, it's such an odd feeling that I turned 50. It's gonna happen to you one day as well. But you know what you can say to yourself? I at least tried riding a motorcycle. Because no one ever regrets doing something, but you will always regret not doing something. At least trying it out once and seeing if it's for you or not is the best bet. These days, motorcycling is becoming a lot more expensive because it's no longer for young people. When I first started riding in 2017, you can go out there and get an entire kit for about $5,000. You need three things when you first ride a motorcycle. Number one, the motorcycle itself, right? Number two, you need good proper gear. And number three, you need education. So, let me ask you this question. Out of these three, which one can you live without? Well, you can live without the motorcycle, okay? Because the prerequisite to getting a motorcycle is, number one, education. That is the first thing you should do. The first thing. Don't buy a motorcycle, okay? Buying a motorcycle without getting proper gear and getting the education is signaling to the world and to your parents and to your loved ones that you're just going to be irresponsible, okay? So, get your education first. Take your MSF course. After the MSF course, take an advanced course. After the advanced course, study. Make sure you know what you're doing. And then after that, go and get your gear before you get your motorcycle. And then after you get your gear and after you've had some education, go out there and buy your first motorcycle. Don't do it like most people do, where they get their motorcycle, practice in a parking lot, hurt themselves, and then afterwards go take an MSF course, and then pass the MSF course, and then that's it. The start and the end of your education stops right there. With cars, it's really simple, okay? Really simple. With cars, you know, you just get it, you hop in the car, you start driving. You don't really need to convince your family members they need to drive. I think most of them would probably prefer you to drive to get from point A to point B. That's how most people get places these days, if not for public transportation. But riding a motorcycle is a luxury these days. No one has to do it unless you can't afford a car. So that's another thing. Like, what is the reason why you want to ride a motorcycle? If it's to go from point A to point B, riding a motorcycle may be more trouble than it's worth. For the same amount of money, you could just buy yourself a cheap car. It'll be a lot safer that way. Less headache for you, less chances of getting into an accident. You don't have to go out there and do so much education. You don't have to spend so much money on gear. Riding a motorcycle is a lot of headache, I'm telling you. If you're doing it just because you want to travel back and forth to work, it's a lot more headache than it's worth. Don't do it for that reason alone. If you want to ride a motorcycle, do it because it's something that you want to create a hobby out of. You want to do it for enjoyment. You want to do it as a passion. You want to do it for freedom. Whatever it is outside of work, that's what motorcycles should be done for here in the United States. Now, if you live somewhere like in Vietnam or Indonesia, where the primary mode of transportation is to ride on a motorcycle, different story altogether. I'm not knocking it. But here in the United States, most people's primary mode of education is a car. One of the reasons why I moved out here in San Diego in 2017 was because I wanted to start life brand new. But prior to moving over here, I was with my girlfriend of 5 years, and I just wanted to start life brand new. So I really didn't have anyone to convince to allow me to ride a motorcycle, but I know you guys and girls exist out there, you know, who am I to tell you how to convince people? But all I'm here to tell you is there's a right way of starting this hobby and there's a wrong way of starting this hobby. And if you're a brand new rider watching this video, I bet you didn't know this statistic, but the first 3 months of riding a motorcycle are the most dangerous than they are in the entire first or second year combined of you riding altogether. Because statistics revealed that within the first 3 months of riding a motorcycle is when most riders are at risk of getting into their accident. And let me ask you a question, why do you think that is? And so I'll tell you, it's because most people are uneducated when it comes to riding a motorcycle. And so if you put importance on learning how to ride a motorcycle properly and making sure that you buy the right motorcycle, your first motorcycle isn't going to be something you're going to get bored of. If you quote unquote use that term when making your purchasing decisions, you're already starting off on the wrong foot. If it's under 50 horsepower and under 500cc, perfect. If you're 30, 40 years old, you can probably get yourself like something like a Ninja 650 or whatever. I don't know how many horsepower that is, but I don't know, 70, 80 horsepower. And you know, I like bikes that are under 400 pounds. This guy's got a ZX6R. What up? I like motorcycles that are under 400 pounds because they're easily maneuverable, because one of the biggest challenges you're going to have in the beginning is maneuverability. These bikes are very, very heavy. And so even though what I'm riding right now is super agile, like really, really agile, like this thing is tossable, like I can just toss it into any corner and it'll just go. This bike almost reads my mind whenever I'm going through corners. And so that's the kind of connection you're gonna have with your motorcycle. That's the kind of bond you're gonna have with your motorcycle, probably in a couple of years, but not in the beginning. In the beginning, this thing is gonna feel very, very heavy. It's gonna be extremely fast for you, even though it's a 400, 500cc bike. If you constantly push it to the limit, yeah, just like any other drug, you're gonna get used to the power. But if you're riding it for skill, you're always going to be a little bit afraid of the edge, and that's where you want to be. You want to be at the point where you're afraid of the motorcycle and you give it a lot of respect, but at the same time you're comfortable enough to ride it where it doesn't scare the shit out of you. That's the sweet spot when it comes to motorcycles. But in the beginning, like you, when I had that 373cc 38 horsepower motorcycle, I had more fear than I had confidence, and that's going to be you too. So imagine if you get like something like this. This is about 430 pounds and about 127 horsepower. And a lot of you might say, oh, I'm going to get this bike and I'm going to put it in rain mode when I ride it. Well, that doesn't decrease the horsepower. It just decreases the throttle response. Doesn't necessarily mean that it won't do 180 miles an hour. I don't know, whatever the top speed is for this bike, 170, 160, but who cares? It's still a lot of fun, and you can still get into a lot of trouble with it, regardless if it's rain mode, sport mode, or race mode, or whatever it is that this bike has. Yeah, I put it at the highest setting, and it's kind of like set and forget for me. Like I said, I've been riding for a very long time. For me these days, it's not all about speed, you know? I went from an RC4, which was 200 something horsepower, I don't know, 215, 217. When I was done with it, it was all the way up to 240. And I downgraded, quote unquote downgrade, to a 600. So it's, you know, like, after a while, you've been there, you've done that. It's not all about speed anymore. When you get to a point of maturity, when it comes to riding a motorcycle, you begin to realize that it's not all about power. It's not all about speed. You know, there's something else, and you won't ever get to that stage until you get to that stage. There's no point in me explaining it or talking or trying to convince you of it. But starting on the right leg, starting the correct way, is the best way to convince family and loved ones that you're the responsible type and that you're someone that deserves to ride a motorcycle. Because just because you have the money to go out there and buy one doesn't necessarily mean you should. A lot of people just don't deserve to ride a motorcycle. They're irresponsible people. They lack education. Money is not just a good reason to go out there and buy one. I think a good reason to buy one is everything that we talked about in this video. Sorry if people watching don't like to hear this, but hey, I'm just looking out for your best interest as I do in all my videos, and I'm just here to tell you the truth, and I just want the best for everybody. So drop a comment below. When did you buy your bike, and did you have to do any convincing to your family members? I'd love to hear from you guys. And until the next episode, I'll catch you guys later. Peace.